Welcome back, everybody. Professional wrestler, comic book collector, video game enthusiast, Zach the Ripper Comics here. And on today's episode, we're going to take a look at something that was requested by a patron of mine. Joey Ushak, pledging at the $50 tier, requested that I review what it takes to get into comic books. So what does it take to get into comic books, to read comic books, to collect comic books? Where do I buy comic books? Hopefully this video is going to give you some insight on where you can start. Let's get into it. So you found my channel at Zach the Ripper Comics, you hit the thumbs up button on the videos, you subscribe to it, you're telling all your friends about it, you're sharing, and now you too want to get into comic books. You've seen the Marvel movies, you've seen the DC movies. The first thing you need to do is ask yourself, do you enjoy reading? And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. A lot of people that I know personally love reading, but don't enjoy reading comic books. They prefer novels and things of that nature. Whereas there's other people that love the Marvel movies, love all the lore, but they do not like reading. So obviously if you enjoy reading, then comic books could be for you. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, do you just want to read and enjoy some good stories and take a break from all of the craziness that's going on in the world? Or do you want to collect? If you just want to read some comic books, then I'd recommend hitting up my eBay store with the link in the description below, as I have a barrage of comic books with new comic books going up weekly. There's some great prices on there from past books, some brand new books on there, and I can guarantee that the prices on there are going to be extremely fair. And this is absolutely a plug, but the books on there are going to be good and they're going to give your mind and your imagination some stuff to work with. Now the other option is to go into your local comic book store. And if you don't know if you have one, feel free to Google, find a comic book store, walk in there and let them know that you're new to comics. Tell them what you might be interested in, what your likes and dislikes are, just in life and hobbies in general. I guarantee that anybody in these comic book stores are going to be able to help you and guide you in the right direction. Most comic book stores, like the Zach the Ripper eBay store, have 25 and 50 cent and dollar bins where you can purchase past books for a portion of what the cover price is. This allows you to kind of pick a couple different things and spend very little money and get yourself in the door, get yourself acclimated with what comic books are. And of course there's the option of just buying whatever's brand new on the shelf that week. As I've said in my videos, as everybody knows now, new comic books come out every Wednesday. In the past few months, DC books have been releasing to comic book shops on Tuesdays, but most comic book shops are not selling them until Wednesday, when everything else goes on sale too. So like the old days of buying CDs, every Wednesday is new comic book day. So whatever you buy this Wednesday, you'll know that next Wednesday new stuff comes out. Most titles are released either bi-weekly or monthly, so in those in-between weeks you can check out different titles and see what you're interested in. For a complete list of what new books are coming out each and every week, you can go to a website like MidtownComics.com. Midtown Comics has been around for decades in New York City. They have a few different shops. They are in bed with DC Comics, so just be aware of that. But they have lists of everything that's coming out that week, and they do ship books to you at a discounted price, but you will get them weeks to a month behind, so just be aware of that. Another thing you can do is when you go to your local comic shops, they're always going to have checklists of upcoming books that you can subscribe to getting. They're also going to have what's called a previews book. It's a very thick book previewing all of the upcoming books over the next quarter of that year. Another thing you can keep in mind is that comic books have what they call pull lists or pull boxes. Basically, you subscribe to that comic shop, you let them know what books that you like and that you're interested in, and they will order them automatically and pull them and put them in a specific mailbox for you. That way, when you go in your shop every Wednesday or whatever day you choose to go in, you know that all of your books are going to be there. They're going to be safe. You're not going to have any outs, and you're not going to miss out on any of the awesome stories that you've been reading. Now, some comic book shops will charge a slight premium for this. Usually it's like $10 a year, nothing big, but they do give you discounts on books. One of the comic book shops that I very much enjoy gives you $5 rewards for every $100 you spend if you're a member. And over a year's time, you're going to get back what you've put out for that $10 and much more so. Another thing to keep in mind is that for those of you that have been into Funko Pops and cool t-shirts of Dragon Ball Z and Marvel and everything like that, you may have went to Hot Topic in the past to get your Funko Pops and your t-shirts, or maybe Walmart or Target or something like that. Comic book shops are going to have all of this merchandise. They're going to have your Funko Pops, they're going to have your t-shirts, and they're going to have a huge plethora of them compared to these other places. Something that a lot of people don't know also is that tabletop games are huge in comic book stores. In comic book stores that facilitate tabletop games, you'll sometimes see a back room or a room to the side with a bunch of tabletop games set up, because different nights throughout the week, they will have huge gatherings pre-pandemic of these different tabletop games, and everybody can go in there on that night and play and have a great time. If you're not exactly sure what tabletop games are, it's pretty much like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or anything like that, basically adult versions of board games. My personal opinion is that if you're new to comic books, either hit up the Zack the Ripper Comics eBay store, link in the description below, or go to your local comic book shop and let them know that you are new into comic books. Most likely, they'll probably guide you in the way of superheroes, as superheroes are the easiest comic books to digest initially, and they'll probably tell you to go with either a Batman or Spider-Man, as they are the most prolific and renowned superheroes of all time. From there, you yourself can kind of branch off and figure out what you like. There's also a barrage of different varieties and genres of comic books. We've seen over the last 20 years that independent books have skyrocketed in equity amongst the comic book collectors and readers. There's romantic books, there's horror books. Just recently, I've been picking up a book called Sleeping Beauties, which is written by Stephen King. Phenomenal stuff with great artwork. It's a horror comic book. There's so many different varieties of books out there for everyone. Feel free to leave a comment below with any questions, comments, or concerns you have for Zack the Ripper Comics for me regarding comic books if you're new to reading them or new to collecting them. Most likely I will be doing updates to this video in the future regarding some other things like how to take care of your comics, where you should avoid buying comics from, and so forth. Another option you have with comic books is what's called an omnibus. An omnibus takes one long-term story arc that was released in single issues over the course of a year or more and puts them all together in a huge novel-esque book. It does include all of the artwork and pictures still, but it's just put together in one digestible story that you can buy. Omnibuses and graphic novels are some of the things that I recommend to people first getting into reading comic books. And as far as collecting, a lot of people don't like to buy the single issues every week, and I totally understand that. So what these people do is they buy the graphic novels and the omnibuses, and they read them over the course of time it takes until the next series of books is collected and released in that omnibus and graphic novel form. That's the show, folks. I want to thank everybody on Patreon for supporting this channel. You're going to get all of your cool free merchandise as a result of that. For everybody liking us on Facebook, finding us on Instagram, hitting up the eBay store for all of your comic book needs. Do not forget that we do upload every few weeks on there. Some new books coming in the coming days, and the Teespring store of Zack the Ripper Comics, where you can find tons, over 50 plus items of Zack the Ripper Comics merchandise. Last but not least, liking this video, hitting the subscribe button, never missing a single video from Zack the Ripper Comics. Until next time.
That's good stuff.
Oh, hey. It's good stuff. Polar.